And a pleasant good evening to you and to yours, and welcome to the Brevard Sports Network and our presentation of the post-game show. Good evening, everybody. I'm Alan Slaughter-Zinski. Tonight's post-game show brought to you by Natwick Insurance. And there you see the scores from tonight's game on your screen. Excuse me. Let's start. O'Galley, 27, Titusville 14. Rockledge all over Deltona tonight. And the Raiders get another district win, 42-0. Astronaut 14-6 over Bayside. How about the Scorps and Dan Burke? Dan Burke beating his former team tonight. And I got to be honest with you, listen, if we were able to get a preview show done last night, I would not have picked Satellite, and I'm just going to be honest with you. I wouldn't have. I was going to take Palm Bay. Congratulations to Satellite. They are now 6-0. Space Coast 48, Cocoa Beach 21. Heritage with a district win tonight. Same thing for Heritage this year that it was last year. Tough schedule to start. Easy roll through district, it looks like, as they roll South Fork 35-7 in the absolute game of the night. No question about it. And I didn't get a chance, or Kevin Verpale would be on this graphic as well tonight. 7, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 touchdowns for Kevin Verpale. And we're going to start with this game tonight because one hell of a football game. Congratulations to the Merritt Island Mustangs, who hand Ed White their first loss of the year, 52-49. Melbourne, they say that it's tough. Sometimes, there's never no such thing as a good loss. But listen, this is Osceola. Melbourne loses by 8 to Osceola. If you ask me, yeah, that's a pretty, if there could be such a good thing, that's a good loss. 8-man local rivalry. Not much of a game tonight, 42-0 as the Cougs, Merritt Island Christian Cougars, bounce back tonight. But I do want to start tonight with Merritt Island and Ed White, because I recently texted Tyler Murray, but honestly, that's why we're a little late jumping on here tonight, because I wanted to get the specifics of this game tonight. And I'm going to show you something. Look on your screen right there, okay? With 8 minutes and 55 seconds to go in the game, Ed White led this thing 42-33. But what you don't see is this. That's it. That's the Ed White running back going in for another touchdown to eventually make this a 49-33 game. Now, they would stay down by 20, 49, 33, 18 points, 16, whatever that is. It's been a long couple weeks. Down 16 they were with like 4:35 left. Jarvis Howe forces a fumble. 3 plays later, Kamar Fielder, 45, 50-yard pass on a touchdown post from Verpale. Defense goes out, gets a critical stop in this one on 4th down. And now they got the ball on their own on their 45 with 3:37 left, okay? 2 plays later, 45-yard touchdown to Dontarius Robinson. Both TDs, 1 2-point was Deshaun. One was Femi Howard. Defense goes back out with, I'm reading this as Tyler had texted it to me. Defense goes back out with 2:45. They punt with 45. Ed White punts with 45 seconds left. Merritt Island gets the ball with 33 seconds left. No timeouts. Okay? No timeouts. They go down the field. They get down to the 25-yard line. A completion to Drew Sarver with 9 seconds left on an out route puts them in field goal range with 1.3 seconds to go. 1.3 seconds to go in this game. They send out Liam Miller. And let me tell you something. If You don't know anything about Liam Miller. He is an exceptional soccer player, the best hitter in Brevard County in terms of baseball. And oh, by the way, the best kicker in Brevard County as well. So they send him out. So he goes out and he nails a 47-yard field goal. Nope. Offsides, Ed White, dead ball foul in high school. He's got to kick it again, but 5 yards closer. Liam Miller nails a 42-yarder, and the Merritt Island Mustangs snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Second time this year. They're in a game that goes over the 100-point plateau. Congratulations, Coach Murray. Hell of a drive down there at the end with no timeouts left to get his team into field goal position. And as much as we're going to talk about the other teams tonight, I said it a couple of weeks ago. The most complete team in Brevard County could be the Merritt Island Mustangs. There's no question that they can put the ball in the air. Kevin Verpail, 7 touchdowns tonight. And so we'll have to see if we can't get Kevin on. We talked to Xavier Larice last week, and Xavier had another phenomenal night tonight. But we can't see if we can get Kevin Verpail remotely for our interview of the week coming up this week. What a win for the Mustangs. And as they go all the way to Jacksonville and beat a team that hadn't lost a football game. Whew, man, I'm out of breath just thinking about that game tonight. But all right, let's move on. Let's talk about the game I did tonight with Anthony Knockreiner, O'Galley, and Titusville. This game is exactly what Anthony and I and everybody that's watched O'Galley play football this year thought it would be. It was homecoming night tonight. It was senior night tonight. It was a phenomenal atmosphere at Commodore Stadium, and kudos to Todd O's, the athletic director at O'Galley, because things were flawless tonight. And I also want to say this. Congratulations to our girl here at BSN, softball player Izzy Gamble. Izzy is a favorite of ours here on BSN. Great softball player, always, a great interview. And Izzy Gamble tonight won Homecoming Queen. So congratulations, Izzy Gamble, on that. Job well done tonight. But the football game was an interesting game. It was O'Galley. And look, I know Titusville fans are going to say that they believe that they walked out of there tonight and they were just as good of a football team as O'Galley. And they played a hell of a football game. But I can't say that was the case tonight. O'Galley forced Titusville to play their game tonight. And they forced mistakes. And that's what they did last week to Cocoa. That's what O'Galley does to you. That's what makes them so good. And then when the moment is right is when their playmakers and standouts take over, like Xavier Larice. And he did it again tonight. And what I mean by forcing mistakes are things like kicking to Xavier Larice, which we're going to talk about tonight. Well, in fact, let's do it now. So this was a final score tonight was 27-14, and I want to make sure that I got the right clip up. So just hang tight here. All right, so this is Xavier Larice, who threw a touchdown tonight, had a rushing touchdown tonight, and returned a punt. That pass right there in the back of the end zone to freshman wide receiver Captain Roll. And Roll just went up and fought. That's great coverage by the Titusville defensive back. Roll just fought for the football. The official immediately signaled touchdown. I mean, they fought in the end zone. And then this play occurred at the end of the third quarter when Larice runs all the way down the field with 26 seconds to go in the third quarter to score a touchdown. And then with under 5 minutes to play, Titusville punts, and they punted to Xavier Larice, which is always a mistake. That play there was on first down, and we're going to talk about that play right there coming up. But, yes, they kicked to Xavier Larice, and, it just did not work out. And So, yeah, check this out. So, I said it in real time. I know that they're not going to kick this football to Xavier Larice, and they did, and Larice made them pay. And there you see him gone. I mean, he's gone. What is that? Where's he catch it? Where's he pick that thing up at? About a 68, 69-yard touchdown on a punt return, and that essentially ended the football game right there. But check this out. This is how certain we knew that this was not going to work out. I don't think they do either. They're getting right through that interior every time. You cannot kick this football to Xavier Larice.
Waylon Gardner will
But he
punt
does.
this one away. Takes a terrier bounce, and Larice will pick it up. And he's across the 40 and midfield down the sideline at the 30, the 20, 15, 10, 5. Commodore touchdown.
Unbelievable that they would kick this football to Xavier Larice. What a great run. And then and I want to talk about what I mean by forcing mistakes. Obviously there was a pick six late in the football game. But it's 14-13 in this football game with a little over 5 minutes to play. And Titusville has the ball and a 1-point lead. Let me take you back to last week against Cocoa. It's 4th down and 2. And we talked about this last week where we kind of, look, and let me be clear. Anybody can sit here and play Monday morning quarterback, right? I mean, anybody can do that, okay? And second guess decisions and all. Anybody can do that. But we talked about this on the broadcast last week about the decision that Cocoa threw that football on 4th and 2 instead of maybe turning around and giving it to Zay Chapel. And that right there felt like the momentum swing. The momentum swing in this one kind of felt like right here. And when I say, let me make sure I got the right clip. This play right here on your screen. This was 1st down. Titusville, a 1-point lead with a little. I don't think they do either. Minutes to go. 1st down. And I think, I mean, look, the receiver's open, and William had a good night tonight. Billingsley had a good night. Just missed him there. I think if you have that play back, maybe you'll run it and take some time off the clock there. But the pass is incomplete. It stops the clock. It brings up 2nd and 10. The next play is a run, doesn't go anywhere. Then they throw again, and then they're forced to punt. And then Larice returns the punt for a touchdown. And that flipped the entire game on its head right there. But bottom line is this, is that's what O'Galley does. Titusville felt like at that point, even with over 5 minutes to go and a 1-point lead with the football, that they had to stay aggressive in order to beat O'Galley. And so that's what they did. They stayed aggressive. And there's no right or wrong here. It's just that's what they felt like they had to do. It didn't pay off. That ball's a little lower. He catches it. Maybe it's a different outcome, but it wasn't. And now on your screen, this past week, they released the first FHSAA playoff rankings, and this is 3A Region 2. And Merritt Island was over top of O'Galley in that region. Bishop Moore was 1, South Sumter 2. And they were double-digit points. But O'Galley, Merritt Island 3, they're going to stay there now with that win over Ed White. O'Galley's not going to jump Merritt Island with Merritt Island going up and beating Ed White. So it'll likely stay 3-4, and Titusville's in 7. Only the top 8 seeds in each region make the FHSAA playoffs. 4 of those 8 seeds are district champs. The scenario is this for Titusville, is they got to beat Merritt Island. Otherwise, they are probably a 9-10 seed on the outside looking in. So that's the scenario if they don't beat Merritt Island. because right now, O'Galley, I'm not sure. O'Galley has not played Palm Bay yet. Merritt Island has. Merritt Island is 1-0, and O'Galley's 1-0. That game in 2 weeks, there's your district championship right there. And maybe Titusville beats Merritt Island and sets up a wild scenario. I don't know. But more than likely, that game between O'Galley and Merritt Island in 2 weeks is your district championship. Talked to Tom Finney, the athletic director at Merritt Island yesterday. We will be broadcasting that one. Hopefully, I won't get my ass kicked by a windowsill again. That windowsill tonight, O'Galley absolutely ruined me tonight. But, Caleb does it the best. Speaking of Caleb, buddy, I hope you're watching, and get well, my friend. All right, let's get to the Satellite Scorpions. Why don't we? Because what a night for them. A lot of emotion in this one. The coaching storylines, if you don't know, is Dan Burke coached it at Palm Bay for 24 years, took the Pirates to the playoffs 23 times, 10 regional championships, 14 district championships, 2 state titles, countless legends out of Palm Bay played for Dan Burke. And countless coaching legends as well, like the one he went up against tonight, who, oh, by the way, has done pretty damn good for himself at the high school level in Kevin Mays. Look what he did at Vieira, Baker County, and now he's at Palm Bay. And so for the first time tonight, not only is Dan Burke going up against his former team, but he's going up against a guy that's a Palm Bay alum and coached on those early 2000 state championship teams. And what a great victory for Satellite. 29-3 tonight. My man Chase Alexander was on the call for that one. Here's a look at some of the highlights in this one. And what can you say? Brody Grennan out with Alex Batalis, Logan Waite, first half score. The defense for Satellite, just smothering. Allowed 3 points tonight. They're 6-0, and this is the 4th game that of those 6 that they've allowed. I believe it's 7 points or less in the game. They've got 2 shutouts, I think, or 3 shutouts. Just a phenomenal job by that Satellite defense. And Brody Grennan finding his way. Touchdown passes 8 and 9 on the season for Grennan tonight. And I apologize because I'm screen recording these as I get in the studio and try to get everything set up. So I apologize for the sloppy work there. And so there you have it. Let's take another look at the highlights there for Satellite. Just a great, great performance tonight. And that had to feel good. Jaheim Poole kicked a field goal for Palm Bay to ruin the shutout tonight. The Vipers, the Space Coast Vipers, with a big win tonight. 48-21 over Cocoa Beach. The Vipers balance. That's a team with a lot of balance. Zion Sandy tossed a 30-yard touchdown to Junior Fighter. The ground game piled up points. Cocoa Beach fought back. Remy Vignier, 3 scores in this one through the air, including an 83-yard strike to Caden Ford. But Space Coast, too much tonight, and they pick up the win. And ever since their lone loss of the season, they are now have won 2 in a row. And a big game next week coming up for them as they will play Bayside, I believe. We talked about Heritage. The Panthers, look, every year Michael Bench is going to schedule tough early, and then he's going to go play these district games. They flipped the switch in district play. Malik Clark, 35-yard score. Heritage piled up 5 total touchdowns on the ground and air. South Fork gets in 1 time tonight, and Heritage with a complete game tonight, and that's what you want to see. That's what I've been waiting to see from Padala and this offense and these guys. They get in and they get a big district win. So congratulations to Heritage going all the way. That's a 2-hour drive all the way down to South Fork. So they go down and get the win. How about the Rockledge Raiders? Talk about playing a different or a difficult schedule. We loved all over Cocoa, O'Galley, and Heritage for their difficult schedules this year. We overlooked Rockledge at the start of the year and their difficult task. Man, have they played one tough schedule, and it's paying off for them in spades for sure. They beat Deltona tonight for their second consecutive district win. Raheem Cutter with a 1-yard run. Camden Allen with a 1-yard run. Joseph Watkins Jr., JoJo with a pass from Robert Blaylock. It's good to see JoJo catching some touchdowns. Matt Ford with a 24-yard pass from Blaylock. Karan Harris with an interception return for a touchdown. And Allen, Allen with a 2-yard run. And Rockledge all over Deltona tonight, 42-0. Colston Patterson with a 3-yard run for Bayside tonight. That was their only score of the game. They score first. Astronauts, Draquan Jones with a 24-yard run, and Jones again with a 33-yard run. And the War Eagles defeat Bayside 14-6 tonight. We talked about Merritt Island. Melbourne tonight. Melbourne and Osceola. The Cowboys, man, they can run the football. I'm not sure they run that triple option anymore, but they run the football. Javon Bennett with a 29-yard score. Jamarion Sinafat added another touchdown catch and a rushing touchdown. Melbourne fought back, though. E.J. Hall with a touchdown pass to James Nomeyer late in the third. Luis Martinez field goal in the fourth. But the Bulldogs just couldn't get there. Both teams now 4-2, but Osceola has the edge in the district now. The big game for the Bulldogs is obviously going to be coming up in a couple of weeks against Vieira. And you'll see that one live here on Brevard Sports Network. So, yeah, just a great week or, great night of high school football. That Merritt Island Mustang team, I cannot wait. We keep saying game of the year, game of the year, game of the year. Cocoa O'Galley, Titusville O'Galley tonight, right? But this Merritt Island O'Galley game in a couple of weeks, because you feel like, you go back last year and similar to Titusville in that 7-3 loss in the regular. O'Galley whitewashed them in the playoffs. Just ran them off the football field in the playoffs. But that regular season game last year when O'Galley beat them 7-3 and you had that controversial fumble, that kind of gave everybody hope and belief from the Titusville area that maybe Titusville could beat O'Galley in the playoffs. But it was a different team by the time they got to that point. We did the Merritt Island O'Galley game last year, and it was the same way. It was a little more high scoring than 7-3. And you kind of thought if those two teams met again in the playoffs, maybe Merritt Island could get them. But this is going to present a different dynamic for both of these teams. For Merritt Island, they're going to have to stop the run. They faced, and I'm not telling Tyler Murray or anybody wearing black and gold anything they don't know, okay? Because they played two teams that run the football religiously, and they've given up 49 and I think 55 points. So they've given up over 100 points to two teams who run the football religiously. Guess what O'Galley does? They run the football religiously. So Merritt Island's going to have to get that figured out. And believe me, O'Galley's going to want to run the football. When you got Kevin Verpale out there slinging 7 and 6 touchdowns in a game, yeah, they're going to want to keep that offense off the field. That game right there presents a unique dynamic for both of these teams. And it'll be interesting to see what adjustments Merritt Island makes in 2 weeks. And it's going to be interesting to see what adjustments O'Galley makes because they've got Larice and they've got Corbin back there in those safety positions. And Larice tonight, man, that kid played his heart out tonight. Just an incredible performance, followed up from last week. But that's going to be a fun game. You got strength on strength. Couple of weeks, it's going to be at the O-Dome in Merritt Island, and I can't wait. I cannot wait for this one. and I'm sure you can't either. I know Merritt Island and O'Galley both chomping at the bit. But look, I mean, both of these teams have business to take care of next week as well. Excuse me, real quick. Let's just tell you what's on tap next week. Sebastian River is at Astronaut. Bayside is at Space Coast. That'll be a good one. Coco travels down to Miami Norling coming off a bye. O'Galley's got a tough one next week in Trinity Catholic. Trinity Catholic is one of those teams where they schedule tough all the time. A couple of years ago, you remember the Celtics went all the way to the state championship game with 4 regular season wins. But those 6 regular season losses were against teams ranked in the top 25 in the state. I don't know if that's the schedule they're playing this year, but that's typical for Trinity Catholic. They got a new head coach, former NFL player, so we'll see. John Carroll Catholic is at Holy Trinity. Legacy Charter is at Merritt Island Christian. Lakeside Christian is at Calvary Chapel. Melbourne hits the road. Feels like they've been home all year at Winter Springs. MCC is at Titusville. Martin County is at Palm Bay. Mandarin is at Rockledge. Satellite is at Coral Springs. Vieira is at Cocoa Beach. I don't see Merritt Island on here. I'm wondering if maybe it's their bye week next week. It could be. Let me take a look. But that's the games on tap next week. Let's see here real quick. I'm looking at the score, man. Mustangs have scored 232 points this year in 6 games. Can you believe it's the 6th game of the season already? Yep, no, bye week next week for Merritt. So they listen, 52-49 Ed White, 24-21 over St. Cloud, 39-8 over Palm Bay. So they won 3 in a row since their 57-51 loss to DeLand. 42-21 over Melbourne, and, of course, the double overtime loss to Cocoa. They finish up with O'Galley, Titusville, Miami Carrollwood Day, and at Vieira. Final 3 games of the year for Merritt Island, all on the road. So let's see what, let's take a look at O'Galley's schedule and see what the Commodores have coming up. Man, what a fun district this 3A26 is. I mean, just a great district, man. So O'Galley, their bye week doesn't come until the very end of the season. The game that got canceled with Melbourne has now turned into O'Galley's bye week. They will O'Galley on. Is that accurate? Yeah, it is. They are on the road the rest of the season at Trinity Catholic, at Merritt Island, at Palm Bay, and look, they still have Atlantic to play. And if you don't know about Atlantic, this is not Port Orange Atlantic, and no disrespect to Port Orange Atlantic, but the Atlantic Eagles are 5-0 and ranked 23rd in the state. That's O'Galley's final game, regular season game this season. So schedule gets no easier for the Commodores, that's for sure. One more time, let's take a look through. O'Galley 27, Titusville 14, Rockledge 42, Deltona nothing, Astronaut 14, Bayside 6, Satellite 29, Palm Bay 3, the Scorps. Can they go 10-0? 10-0 this year. Heritage 35, South Fork 7, Merritt Island 52, Ed White 49. Kevin Verpale, our player of the night, 7 touchdown passes. Why don't we put Liam Miller in there with him too? They made Liam kick twice to win the game tonight, and so congratulations to Merritt Island again. Osceola 18, Melbourne 10, Merritt Island Christian 42, Calvary Chapel nothing. Cocoa, Vieira, MCC, and Holy Trinity all on a bye week. And so here's the thing. I think we talk about the rankings all the time, like who's the best team, in Brevard County. Let me ask you this. Who do you think of the SSAA teams in Brevard County. Who do you think is the best SSAA team in Brevard County? Let me know in the comments section. Holy Trinity, Satellite, Space Coast, and Bayside are the 4 11-man teams that play there. I don't know how the playoff structure stacks up, but you look at Holy Trinity on a bye week, 4-1, and Rico Petragio and Jaden McMillan and the other outstanding receiver they have, Aaron Rains. Aaron Rains, that's a great threesome. Then you look at Space Coast, defending SSAA state champs, and then now you throw Satellite into the mix. So, yeah, I mean, one loss for those 3 teams in the SSAA. 2 losses. I'm sorry. Holy Trinity's got 1. Space Coast has 1. Satellite now 6-0. I know the number 1 team is. It's O'Galley, Merritt Island, Cocoa. Put them all in a bag, shake them up. O'Galley's on top, though, no doubt about that. Merritt Island, Cocoa. We'll figure it all out. We'll figure that out. Cocoa beat Merritt Island, but I think you're looking at a couple different scenarios here, and so we'll worry about all that with the rankings. But what a great night again. And again, let's take a look at that punt return by Xavier Larice. I don't think they do either. They're getting right through that interior. It was, well, that's the pass. Here, no. I don't think they do either. They're getting right through that interior every time. You cannot kick this football to Xavier Larice.
Waylon Gardner will
punt
this one away. Takes a Terrier bounce, and Larice will pick it up, and he's across the 40 and midfield down the sideline at the 30, the 20, 15, 10, 5. Commodore touchdown!
Unbelievable that they would kick this football. Or the Verpale family, if you're watching, Coach Murray, you got to get me in touch so I can do a remote interview with Kevin Verpale this week, because that's quite a show that young man put on. I want to thank our sponsor tonight. I want to thank all of you for hanging in there with me tonight. Another good night of high school football in Brevard County. I'll do it one more time. We'll go down the list one more time here. As O'Galley, Rockledge, Astronauts, Satellite, Space Coast, Heritage, Merritt Island, and Merritt Island Christian, all winners. Melbourne Falls to Osceola tonight. So there is one final look at your scoreboard. Let me make sure I've got everybody and didn't forget anybody. Yep. I count 18 teams. We got 16 teams that play 11-man football, 2 that play 8-man football. So once again, next week it's Sebastian River at Astronaut, Bayside at Space Coast, Cocoa down to Miami to face Miami Norland, O'Galley at Trinity Catholic, John Carroll Catholic at Holy Trinity. That'd be a good one. Legacy Charter at Merritt Island Christian, Lakeside Christian at Calvary, Melbourne at Winter Springs, MCC at Titusville. That'd be a good one too. MCC coming off a bye. Martin County at Palm Bay, Mandarin at Rockledge, Satellite at Coral Springs, and Vieira at Cocoa Beach. I want to thank Eric Natwick and Natwick Insurance for sponsoring tonight's game, and I also want to thank Eric Natwick for getting Chase Alexander an extension cord tonight, which really came in handy over at Satellite. So for all of you out there, Caleb, my buddy, listen, bro, get better. Good news for everybody. Visit Caleb starting next week here in Brevard County if you want to. Being moved down to Sea Pines tomorrow, where he will spend the next 3 or 4 weeks of his life in rehabilitation. So we'll keep you updated on that. Please continue to share Caleb's GoFundMe. He's certainly going to need it. And I can't thank you all enough as well for your financial support, your love, your blessings. No youth football tomorrow. We get back to all of our normal weekend activities starting next Saturday. I will be on the call at Vieira Regional Park for Satellite and Vieira. And then next Sunday, we will get back into boys high school lacrosse again as well. So for all of that, and for all of you, I'm Alan Slaughter-Zinski. This has been the Brevard Sports Network post